Chapter 1. Detective Richard Gennaro did not like to go out on night calls. The truth of the matter was that the nighttime city scared him. There were all sorts of things that could happen to a person in this city once the sun went down. Even if the person happened to be a cop, things could happen to him. He knew plenty of cops who'd had things happen to them at night. Somehow, the things that happen to cops happen to them more often at night than during the day. That was one of these sacred precepts he had learned about police work, and he had formulated a rule about it, and the rule was, never go out at night. An impossible rule to observe if you didn't want your fellow police officers to think you were chicken shit. Once, when Gennaro was still a patrolman, he was walking his beat one cold December night when he saw a light burning in a basement and, like a good cop, went down to investigate. He found a dead kid with a blue face and a rope around his neck. That was one of the things that had happened to him at night. Another time, well, that wasn't even nighttime, that was during the day. Things could happen to cops even during the daytime. He'd been walking his beat. It was raining, he remembered, and he'd seen somebody running away from a bus stop, and when he had picked up the bag the person had left behind on the sidewalk, it had a human hand in it. A person's hand, cut off at the wrist and left on the sidewalk in an airline's bag. Boy, the things that could happen to cops, day or night. The way Gennaro figured it, you weren't safe in this city no matter what time you went out in it. He felt only a little safer with Corella by his side. The two men had gone out at night because they were doing a follow-up on a crib burglary, and the victim worked as a night watchman at a construction site. It had taken Gennaro a long time to learn that a crib burglar wasn't somebody who went around stealing cribs that babies slept in. A crib, in a burglar's vocabulary, was an apartment. A crib burglar was somebody who burglarized apartments, and that was usually done during the daytime, when most apartments were empty. The last thing a burglar wanted or needed was to walk in on some old lady who'd start screaming her head off. That was why burglars who went into office buildings went in at night, when everybody had gone home from work already, and usually they went in after the cleaning lady was finished too. That was a safe rule for smart burglars to follow. Always go in when nobody's there. The burglar in this particular case had gone into the apartment at 2 in the afternoon and was confidently unplugging the television set in the living room when all of a sudden a guy in his pajamas walked in from the bedroom and said, "What the hell are you doing here?" The guy turned out to be a night watchman who worked at night and slept during the day, and the burglar ran like hell. Corella and Gennaro were here at the construction site tonight to show the watchman some mug shots, even though a safe rule for smart cops to follow was never go out at night, even if you went with Corella. Corella wasn't Superman. He wasn't even Batman. Corella was either a little over or a little under 6 feet tall. Gennaro wasn't so good at estimating heights. He guessed Corella weighed about 180 pounds, but he wasn't so good at weights either. Corella had brown eyes, slanty like a chink's, and he walked like a baseball player. His hair was only slightly lighter than his eyes, and he never wore a hat. Gennaro had been out with him in the worst rainstorms, and there was Corella marching around bareheaded as if he didn't know you could catch a cold that way. Gennaro liked being partnered with Corella because he figured Corella was a man you could count on if something was about to happen. The very thought of something about to happen made Gennaro nervous, but he didn't think anything was going to happen tonight because it was already 3 a.m. when they finished showing the mugshots to the burglary victim, and he figured they'd head back to the squad room, have a cup of coffee and some donuts, do some paperwork, and wait for the day shift to come in at 7:45. The night was almost balmy for October. Gennaro came out of the construction site ahead of Corella because he thought he'd heard some rats scampering around when they were skirting the edge of the excavation. And if there was one thing he hated worse than spiders, it was